Upon hearing this, both Nine Soul Steel and Changyu paused slightly, their eyes reflecting the strain. Earlier, when Xiao Yin was channeling that terrifying Do technique, they had poured all their Do Qi into him. Now, they barely had any left. As they listened to Xiao Yan's words, their gazes flickered slightly with concern. On the other hand, Mu Ying and the Heavenly Fire Sacred Tiger still had considerable power to spare. "Don't worry, leave this to us," Mu Ying said confidently, patting her chest to reassure Xiao Yan. Clearly, the formidable Do technique in Xiao Yan's hands had earned the respect of even the proud Mu Ying. "Then I'll leave it to you. Just create a diversion and draw their attention. We'll take care of the rest," Little Yi replied with a heavy tone. "Understood." Mu Ying responded cheerfully before she and the Heavenly Fire Sacred Tiger headed straight for the blood-red vortex. "Can you pull this off?" Little Yi asked gravely. "Barely a 20% chance, to be honest. The defense of the blood-red vortex is terrifying," Xiao Yin admitted without holding back. "What if you add me into the mix?" Little Yi suddenly chuckled before transforming into a soft, milky white light and merging with Xiao Yan's body. Huh. Xiao Yan didn't fully understand what Little Yi meant, but trusting him, he allowed the fusion. As Little Yi once again merged into his body, Xiao Yan felt an overwhelming surge of power flowing slowly through every fiber of his being. At this moment, Xiao Yan's strength remained at the peak of the 6-star Do D, but with Little Yi's fusion, the intensity of the flame power within him became more ferocious and terrifying. This new power was like a vital tonic for Xiao Yan. After being refined by the flame mantra, it was transformed into his own Do Qi. Before he could fully relish the feeling, Little Yi's voice echoed in his mind. "Big brother, my flames aren't the same as before." Little Yi's voice resonated deeply in Xiao Yan's consciousness. "Is that so?" Xiao Yan knew that when Little Yi had previously detached his Na crystal, he'd noticed the flame aura around Little Yi had changed drastically, as if the flames had gained sentience. Xiao Yan also understood that this fusion with Little Yi tied their fates together. If one flourished, so did the other. The flames have indeed become sentient. Next time they evolve, they might even rival the sacred flames. Little Yi's voice slowly trailed off. "Sacred flames, huh?" Xiao Yan muttered to himself, his gaze sharpening. "Wait for me," he whispered, before his aura suddenly skyrocketed. Previously, Xiao Yan had absorbed all of Nine Soul Steel and Changyu's Do Qi, and now, with the added power from Little Yi, his strength surged even further. The initial level of 7-star Do D, a jump of 3 entire levels of strength. This was something Xiao Yan had never imagined possible. Furthermore, this boost in strength was pure, much like the revitalizing techniques he'd used before. Nine Soul Steel and Changyu's energy was refined and pure, with no lasting side effects, and it came with a time limit. This was precisely why Xiao Yan dared to go all out. As his strength soared, a solid layer of armor formed around his body. The flame armor was engulfed in roaring flames, adorned with mysterious, intricate symbols that seemed to possess the power to devour all evil. Up in the sky, Xiao Yan smiled knowingly, feeling the terrifying power surge within him. Under the fierce assaults from Mu Ying and the Heavenly Fire Sacred Tiger, an unprecedented force began to coalesce. "This kid, he keeps surprising me," Golden Dragon King muttered to himself, falling into silence. Long Yi, following the Golden Dragon King's advice, refrained from assisting Xiao Yan. After all, as the Golden Dragon King had said, the boy had a long road ahead, and too much help now wouldn't be good for him in the future. However, both of them were on high alert. The moment Xiao Yan showed any sign of danger, they wouldn't hesitate to intervene. Swish, swish. The Heavenly Fire Sacred Tiger and Mu Ying, working together, surrounded the blood-red vortex from above, their flames flickering powerfully. Mu Ying's body emitted a terrifying azure flame, while the Heavenly Fire Sacred Tiger's flames were a deep crimson, tinged with delicate traces of azure light. Strange, the flames from that woman seem odd. Xia sat cross-legged within the blood-red vortex, frowning. From within the vortex, streams of ghostly qi continually poured into his body. "If it's the power of the sacred flames, it's far too weak." yet it's much stronger than any ordinary flame. EngSubs muttered to himself, his mind filled with questions. As ghostly qi poured into EngSubs' body, the small wounds scattered across his form gradually began to heal, and his strength slowly returned. Boom, boom, boom. Mu Ying and the heavenly fire sacred tiger attacked in unison, their mighty flames dispersing the ghostly qi at the outermost edge of the blood-red vortex. However, in the next instant, the overwhelming ghostly qi quickly replenished the gap. Boom, boom, boom. Their relentless assault seemed to have little effect, but neither of them showed any signs of discouragement. They continued to channel their do qi, determined to press on with their attack. Pathetic! Came a disdainful snort from EngSubs, deep within the vortex. He stopped paying attention to the battle outside and focused entirely on absorbing the vast ghostly qi. How can there be so many? Hudu couldn't help but mutter, staring at the pile of humans before him, stacked up like a small mountain. Yuru, who had arrived shortly after with her group, bit her lip lightly, clearly shaken by the sight. A mound of human bodies. If Hudu hadn't mentioned they were still alive, anyone would have assumed it was just a pile of corpses. The gravity of the situation weighed heavily on everyone's hearts. Shu. Hudu and Wu Jiang unleashed their qi, a gentle energy flowing across the crowd. As the captured people stirred, traces of black, ghostly qi evaporated from their bodies. Are these all participants in the points plundering tournament? Yuru asked, unable to hide her shock. Looks like it, someone replied. Good thing we got here in time. Any later, and... Mu Feng trailed off ominously. Qiu Huanyao, Luo Guang, and the others carefully laid down the unconscious participants, whose breaths were now steady as they slowly regained consciousness. This points plundering tournament has been nothing short of a roller coaster, someone remarked. Considering how things turned out, Hudu shook his head, disapproving of the planning and execution of the event. What's that in the sky? Wu Jiang, after dispelling the ghostly qi, looked up at the sky, where a terrifying energy emanated from a figure clad in fiery armor. Xiao Yan, you can do this? Yuru closed her eyes, silently praying for him. The top 10 contenders in the points plundering tournament glanced up, each wearing a different expression. Meanwhile, the crowd captured in the forest of corpses began to awaken. Almost as one, they all looked skyward, eyes locked on the massive blood-red vortex and the fiery figure standing within it. Come, sword, said the figure in flaming armor, his voice calm but powerful. As the words fell, Xiao Yan raised a single hand, igniting in pure white flames. Instantly, an ancient sword inscribed with mysterious, ancient runes materialized in his grasp. The moment the ancient sword appeared, EngSubs' eyes shot open inside the blood-red vortex. His face twisted in disbelief as he stared at the armored Xiao Yan. That pure purification energy, could it be? Impossible. EngSubs exclaimed, his voice trembling. Though EngSubs had only recently broken free of his seal and was still recovering his ghostly qi after being besieged by the humans, the aura emanating from Xiao Yan and his sword filled him with dread. Even though I don't know how you managed to push your strength to the level of a 7-star Do D, I'm certain it will come at a great cost to your future, EngSubs sneered. Feigning mystery, he mocked. Do you really think this emperor fears you, a mere 7-star Do D? EngSubs' defiant words echoed from the blood-red vortex, but despite his confidence, the twin ghost emperor's cautious nature resurfaced. A thick, malevolent aura spread from the vortex, strengthening its defenses. Even though EngSubs wasn't afraid of Xiao Yan's power, he knew that the attack of a 7-star Do D alone wouldn't be enough to break through the vortex's defenses. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying white flames seeped from Xiao Yan's body, converging above him. With both hands raised high, the ancient sword in his grasp radiated an overwhelming force. This attack might be powerful, but will it be enough against the blood-red vortex fueled by ghostly arts? Little Yi's voice echoed in Xiao Yan's mind. I know. Xiao Yan smiled. In the next moment, all his spiritual energy surged toward his palm. In his palm, a beautifully intricate lotus seed lay hidden, pulsing with energy. That? Little E marveled. A clever move, he praised. What's this kid up to now? Inia, sensing the massive shift in spiritual power within Xiao Yan, remained oblivious to the lotus seed's presence. The battlefield in the sky was now clearly divided. The blood-red vortex brimming with ghostly qi and blood energy swirled around Inia, who continued to absorb its power to restore his strength. On the other side, Mu Yingying, the heavenly fire sacred tiger, the nine-soul steel, and Changyu watched in silence. Their efforts had left their do qi severely depleted, and they were forced to halt their futile attacks. Changyu couldn't believe his eyes as he stared at Xiao Yin. That kid has a fire spirit, such a rare treasure. He's hiding so many secrets, Changyu muttered in awe. Not only is the fire spirit incredibly rare, but based on its earlier power, it's definitely on par with a human 7-star do D, he continued. For someone like that to willingly call Xiao Yin big brother, Xiao Yin must have earned some serious respect, Changyu noted. But what is Xiao Yin up to now? The nine-soul steel asked, his eyes narrowing in suspicion. The fire spirit can actually fuse with Xiao Yan's body? The nine-soul steel's sharp instincts caught onto something unusual when little E merged with Xiao Yin. That's unheard of, the nine-soul steel muttered, unable to look away from the sight before him. Unheard of, yes, Changyu agreed with a smile, but not impossible. I'd better think of a way to pull Xiao Yin into the incense pavilion. With this kind of talent and boldness, he'd rank in the top 10 even in the most elite sections. By the time the sect tournament rolls around, Changyu's thoughts raced. Is Xiao Yin even human? Mu Yingying's gaze softened, clearly moved by the surge of Xiao Yan's power. Though she prided herself on being at the peak of the 4-star do D realm, she would never dare face Inia head-on. After all, Inia was still a true ghost emperor. What truly shook Mu Yingying was not just the sudden surge in Xiao Yan's strength. What left her most puzzled was the incredibly delicate and terrifying lotus seed clenched between his hands, along with the milky white ancient sword. For some reason, Mu Yingying had a vague suspicion. Even though Xiao Yin had reached the level of a 7-star do D, donned in fiery armor, and wielded the ancient sword brimming with purifying energy, his attacks couldn't even damage the edges of the blood-red vortex created by Inia's ghostly arts. However, the power contained in the delicate lotus seed in his hands was far more potent than that of the ancient sword. Could Xiao Yin be using the ancient sword as a diversion, concealing the true power of the lotus seed for a lethal strike? The heavenly fire sacred tiger, standing nearby, murmured in confusion. Though Xiao Yan's body was filled with the purest do qi from little E, the fire spirit, as well as from the nine-soul steel and Changyu, pushing his strength to the 7-star do D level, the heavenly fire sacred tiger was well aware of the sturdiness of the blood-red vortex created by Inia's ghostly arts. But that lotus seed in Xiao Yan's hands, its power is truly extraordinary, the heavenly fire sacred tiger continued. Even from this distance, I can sense a terrifying aura of destruction. If it were me, there would only be one outcome, the heavenly fire sacred tiger muttered softly. On the ground, many people began to slowly open their eyes, confused by their surroundings. They had clearly been competing in the points plundering tournament in the forest of EngSubs. How did they end up here? What was the deal with the thick, ghostly qi around them and the eerie moon hanging in the sky? Countless questions swirled in their minds. Even when Wu Jiang and the others asked what had happened, they could only recall everything going black before they lost consciousness. After waking up, the crowd, under Wu Jiang and Hu Du's organization, remained calm. Almost instinctively, they all looked up at the two overwhelming forces clashing in the sky. One was the blood-red vortex filled with dark, bloody ghostly qi, and the other, a flame radiating with the purest purifying energy from the fire spirit. As the two powers collided, it was hard to say which was stronger. Xiao Yin seems to be hiding something, Mu Feng observed, his do qi nearly depleted. Fortunately, the recovery pills Xiao Yin had given him helped ease his exhaustion. The moment Xiao Yin mobilized his vast spiritual energy, Mu Feng noticed his actions. His eyes narrowed sharply as he glanced at Luo Guang and the others on the ground. With a loud shout, he cried, Everyone, give me your strength. Hurry. Without hesitation, Luo Guang, Qiu Huanyao, and the others sent waves of terrifying power into Mu Feng's body. A moment later, Mu Feng's body was enveloped in a mysterious green light, and a surge of terrifying energy erupted from him. With his long sword raised, he charged toward the blood-red vortex. Oddly enough, the wooden sword Mu Feng usually used had been replaced with a silver blade. From its silver surface, an aura identical to the ghostly chi of the ghost realm burst forth. That human kid has something in his hand. Xia, deep within the blood-red vortex, seemed to sense something. Mu Feng's silver sword radiated a blinding light as he flew up from the ground, moving at an astonishing speed toward the vortex. I have to make it in time, Mu Feng whispered anxiously to himself. He had realized that the blood-red vortex was turning pitch black, and Xia had also detected something unusual with Xiao Yan. That human kid has something in his palm, something that feels strangely familiar, Xia said coldly, but Xia couldn't quite understand it. Xiao Yan was only at the early stage of the 4-star Do D level. Even with the combined Do Chi of several others temporarily pushing him to the 7-star Do D level, it wouldn't change the fact that defeat was inevitable. In the end, these humans were just too arrogant, thinking they could suppress him again with their combined strength. The price he had paid to break free from his seal had been enormous. Delays bring complications. Even though I haven't fully absorbed the power yet, I need to deal with these humans now. I'll crush their last hopes and watch the despair fill their eyes. Xia muttered darkly, as a sinister demonic shadow slowly formed within the blood-red vortex. Damn it! Xiao Yan clenched his teeth. Little E, the charging time for the purifying ancient sword is too long. He realized that Xia had sensed something was off and wasn't going to drag things out any longer. If the purifying ancient sword couldn't break through the blood-red vortex, the power of the Lotus of Desolation would be severely weakened. This was their final chance. Xiao Yan knew he couldn't afford to be careless. Leave it to me. Mu Ying bit her lip, her voice as clear as a bell. Don't get caught up in the fight. I still need another minute, Xiao Yan reminded her, knowing that now wasn't the time for modesty. Understood. Mu Ying responded softly. Without hesitation, she unleashed her Do Chi to its maximum potential and charged toward the demonic shadow forming inside the blood-red vortex. Mu Ying knew Xiao Yan's attack needed more time and couldn't be disrupted by the demonic shadow. Otherwise, their last chance would slip away. The heavenly fire sacred tiger, understanding the gravity of the situation, didn't move with Mu Ying. Instead, it remained by Xiao Yan's side, guarding him closely to prevent any mishaps as he gathered his strength. Mu Ying transformed into a blue flame and charged straight for the demonic shadow inside the blood-red vortex. At the same time, Mu Feng transformed into a profound cyan light and charged toward the demonic shadow within the blood-red vortex. Xia noticed the two auras, but paid them little attention. After all, a mere early-stage 4-star Do D and a peak 4-star Do D weren't enough to pose a threat in his eyes. However, the flames on that woman, they seemed somewhat similar to the sacred flame, Xia remarked, noticing the azure flames surrounding Mu Ying, which caused the surrounding black ghostly chi to retreat in confusion. No matter, I should deal with that human boy first. His purifying energy is quite a nuisance, he mused. Faithful servants of the ghost realm, destroy the enemies before me. Xia's low, ominous voice rang out. In response, a section of the blood-red vortex twisted eerily, as countless strands of ghostly chi gathered frantically, as if something terrifying was about to emerge. It's said that every ghost emperor has a specialized mount, the 9-soul steel recalled. Come forth. With Xia's chilling command, a part of the vortex trembled violently. Ghostly chi swirled furiously, and a massive black arm, dozens of feet in length and shrouded in ghostly chi, began to materialize from the writhing space. Just one arm was enormous, its sheer size sending shivers through those watching. Swoosh, swoosh. The terrifying power it emitted caused the entire blood-red vortex to tremble slightly. At that same moment, Mu Feng ascended into the sky. His eyes closed briefly, his expression grave. As he chanted rapidly, yin yang, 5 elements, heaven earth 8 trigrams. Break the evil. With his chant complete, an incredibly powerful force erupted from Mu Feng's body. Yet, the appearance of this power took a toll on him, and his body weakened visibly. Without hesitation, he unleashed a burst of profound cyan light, charging toward the massive arm in the vortex. Boom, boom, boom. Mu Feng's attack struck instantly. Meanwhile, inside the blood-red vortex, EngSubs' eyes widened in disbelief. How is this possible? The space for my summoning, it's been destroyed. EngSubs' pupils contracted sharply as he realized that the space on the edge of the vortex had severed its connection with him. Swoosh, damn humans. How does this boy possess such terrifying power? EngSubs could hardly believe what he was witnessing. A mere 4-star Do-D had disrupted his summoning space. This was unprecedented. Cough, cough. Xiao Yin, the rest is up to you, Mu Feng rasped, his strength spent. After unleashing his attack, he fell from the sky near the vortex, as if he had exhausted all his energy in that one strike. This boy knows the Yin-Yang 8 trigrams technique. The 9-soul steel marveled. He's quite remarkable, Chang Yu also observed. Since Mu Feng's attack, the strange space on the vortex's edge, where EngSubs had been summoning his mount, had lost its connection with EngSubs. The terrifying creature had been forcibly cut off by Mu Feng. The Yin-Yang 8 trigrams technique is one of the few things that can counter the creatures of the Ghost Realm. Aside from the Ghost Realm's 20 demonic weapons, the 9-soul steel remarked, clearly impressed. To think this boy has mastered such a technique to this extent, the 9-soul steel added with admiration. As Mu Feng's body fell like a meteor, depleted of all his strength, Yuru acted swiftly, catching him just in time. She handed him some recovery pills before turning her gaze back to the ongoing battle in the sky. At this moment, the eerie space on the edge of the blood-red vortex had already been severed by Mu Feng's strike. Yet the colossal black arm still emerged into everyone's sight. A black arm, dozens of feet long, slowly detached from the strange space, emanating an aura of pure evil. Mu Ying bit her lip, her beautiful eyes narrowing as she locked her gaze on the arm. She could feel the overwhelming evil energy radiating from it. Go! Mu Ying raised her hand, and a stream of azure flames shot toward the black arm. The moment the flames touched the arm, a terrifying clash of forces erupted. It's time. Purifying ancient sword. Elsewhere in the sky, a man clad in fiery armor suddenly opened his eyes. A powerful force, equal to that of a peak 7-star Do-D, mixed with an intense purifying energy, swept across the sky. This power, it's truly terrifying, someone muttered. But it's insignificant before me, EngSubs scoffed. Having noticed Xiao Yan's sudden surge of strength, his 7-star Do-D aura fully unleashed. However, EngSubs did not panic. As one of the top-ranked twin ghost emperors of the Ghost Realm, he possessed a deep sense of confidence. Besides, he knew that Xiao Yan's sudden rise to the level of 7-star Do-D was nothing more than a fleeting illusion. Yet despite his lack of fear, EngSubs remained cautious, knowing that his strength had not yet returned to its peak. Surrounded by the blood-red vortex, his body suddenly swelled. At the edge of the vortex, an overwhelming surge of ghostly qi burst forth, locking onto Xiao Yin with an intense and menacing glare. This power is a delicacy, EngSubs muttered with a chilling smile, though its purifying nature is quite troublesome. Still, it will be delicious for me in this weakened state. Purify. Xiao Yan's shout echoed as he gripped his ancient sword, which glowed with a soft white light. His pupils contracted as he swung the sword at the blood-red vortex with fierce determination. Shwa! Shwa! The terrifying white flames from the sword extended for hundreds of meters, slicing through the air towards the blood vortex. How futile! EngSubs scoffed dismissively. As the sword's radiant flame cut through the air, oddly, the space around it remained undisturbed, as though the flame moved with eerie calmness. Boom, boom, boom. Within the vortex, EngSubs' hands moved rapidly, forming seals. The next moment, a torrent of ghostly qi surged from the vortex's edge, engraved with sinister runes. These runes mirrored the ominous symbol seen earlier on his gigantic arm, and with unstoppable momentum, they clashed head-on with Xiao Yan's flame. The black ghostly chi and white sword flames met in a fierce collision. The opposing forces exploded violently the instant they touched. Although the powers briefly stalemated, something odd happened. Under the scorching heat of Xiao Yan's purifying flames, the black ghostly chi began to retreat. The flames not only carried intense heat, but also a terrifying purifying force, devastating EngSubs' dark energy. This EngSubs is truly bold. Xiao Yan smiled, sensing that a large portion of his attack had been absorbed by the vortex. But Xiao Yan's expression didn't change. He knew that his purifying sword wasn't his true trump card. It was merely a distraction for EngSubs. The purifying flames were particularly effective in the ghost realm, where they targeted the sinister and malevolent energies that ghosts thrived on. As the forces clashed, the tide began to turn. The white flames gradually overwhelmed the ghostly chi, shrinking the blood-red vortex from tens of meters down to just a few meters. Nearby, Mu Yingying looked on with a hint of relief, seeing Xiao Yan's strained expression as he relentlessly attacked the shrinking vortex with wave after wave of purifying flame. The ghostly chi inside the vortex was being steadily purified, its volume rapidly diminishing. From within Mu Yingying's blue flames, a giant hand, several meters long, struggled violently, letting out a hate-filled cry, "Master!" Boom, boom, boom. With Xiao Yan's relentless assault, the evil-laden arm suddenly trembled, violently shaking off Mu Yingying's flame barrier. In the next instant, it shot towards Xiao Yan with murderous intent. Cough, cough. Mu Yingying, momentarily pale from the strain, realized just how powerful and sinister the hand's energy was. Even in its severed state, it held immense strength. Shwa, shwa. The malevolent hand closed in on Xiao Yan, its 5 fingers curling as a terrifying dark power gathered within its grasp. Defy the master. Die. The voice from the hand rasped, and a burst of evil energy erupted as it lunged toward Xiao Yan. Crackle, crackle, crackle. Just as the dark power was about to reach Xiao Yan, the heavenly fire sacred tiger moved. Its deep, terrifying eyes fixed on the oncoming attack, and in the blink of an eye, the space around Xiao Yan solidified, freezing the dark energy in midair like an icy sculpture. Rustle, rustle. The sinister hand, seeing this, smartly withdrew, retreating back into the blood-red vortex. You've done well, EngSubs muttered as the hand disappeared into the vortex. No one noticed the thin strands of white energy from Xiao Yan's purifying flames flowing into EngSubs' body inside the vortex's dark depths. At the vortex's edge, under the relentless bombardment of Xiao Yan's sword flames, the blood-red swirl began to break apart, the surrounding ghostly chi rapidly dissipating. It's time! Xiao Yan grinned as the dark energy was almost entirely purified. Withdrawing his ancient sword, he revealed a delicate lotus seed that had been hidden in the palm of his hand. The space around Xiao Yan rippled subtly, and simultaneously, the space at the edge of the vortex mirrored his movements. In an instant, Xiao Yan vanished from his spot, reappearing on the brink of the blood-red vortex. Twin Ghost Emperors. Here's a gift for you. Xiao Yan sneered, thrusting the lotus seed directly into the vortex. What is this? EngSubs' once smiling face turned grim as he sensed a familiar and foreboding power from the lotus seed. As the lotus of desolation emerged, the temperature in the sky instantly spiked, leaving everyone watching with dry, parched lips. Xiao Yan. Is he even human? Muttered Luo Guang and Qiu Huanyao, who had previously thought of causing trouble for Xiao Yan, now rendered speechless by the display.